As Randy had indicated, these are our BRSU school goals. Some of them are going to be tied to CIP goals, which are a requirement that the AOE has for us to access federal dollars. So I'll start with the larger organization, and then I will be followed up by my building level colleagues, and they'll give an overview of their goals that are somewhat connected or may not be connected because they may have elected to go a different route. So the BRSU overall organizational goals are in two domains of our educator quality standards. They're in academic proficiency and safe and healthy schools. And the bullets that you see below are kind of the sum, or the parts to the sum of academic proficiency and the parts to the sum of safe and healthy schools. In previous years, we have had personalization as a goal, but this year, just given its, I guess, unusual nature, we've pared it down to 2 goals, and they are required in these areas. Every school in the state of Vermont has to have an academic proficiency goal and a safe and healthy school goal for continuous improvement purposes. So here is our wordy goal. By the end of the 2020-2021 school year, comprehensive computer adaptive assessment data, so iReady in this case, previously we had been using MAPS, will indicate the consistent implementation of BRSU supported curriculum and instructional models leads to continuous learner growth, as evidenced by 65% of students representing historically marginalized groups achieving grade level average growth in the areas of reading and mathematics. It's a really wordy way to say that our computer adaptive assessments, usually they're nationally normed. So they shoot for about 50% of students hitting their average growth for any particular age. I think it's by biological age. So setting a goal at 65% is actually quite ambitious, where you might think 65% isn't that ambitious. Right now, these numbers are, for our overall student body, are around 45 to 55% reach that goal area. For our historically marginalized groups, so I can further define that as well, that's going to be so low socioeconomic status, that's going to be any kind of racial data that we have. It's really easy to do for the SU because our N size is much larger, and we can have an actual population to work with, whereas some of our school level data for historically marginalized groups is really small. Slide, please. So here are some things that we're going to do to address and achieve this goal. So we're really paying attention to our new teacher orientation and mentoring systems this year. This has been kind of interesting because there's been a lot of onboarding, getting people familiar with the systems that we're using to even deliver our education right now. So we have instructional coaches that are working on all of these things with our teachers, as well, our veteran teachers, as well as our newer teachers. We've adopted the iReady instruction piece, which is different than the iReady diagnostic testing system. So it will give our kids a personalized learning path that is generated based on their results on the diagnostic assessment, which they're currently doing this week and the next 2 after this as well. So our safe and healthy school goal is related to physical environment. It's related to disciplinary data, multi-tiered system of supports. So you can see that we're looking for a 10% reduction of significant incidents reportable to state, and we're going to achieve that through a BRSU district level team with representation from every school. Slide, please. And this is interesting because we don't necessarily have great data from last year, given that our schools were physically closed from March to June. So that, how do we get behavioral data when kids are at a distance other than behavior on virtual learning platforms? So we are focusing this year, as you are all well aware, on relationship safety and trust and establishing those communities at a distance and also in person. So second step is a program that teaches social emotional skills. And we have that present in all of our buildings. The SEL stands for social emotional learning, and PBIS is positive behavioral interventions and supports. Teams in every building, a representative of which would be on a larger BRSU team. We're going to take a look at a deep dive into the overall PBIS data that we collect as an organization for all 6 of our schools. Responsive classroom is something that is present in our buildings, as well as developmental design, I know, is a goal area for a lot of our middle school principals. And we're also, as you are all aware, we're really focused on equity this year and understanding how to meet the needs of all of our students.
So hi there, I'm Carolyn Perillo. I'm the principal for Currier Memorial School. And we too have two overarching goals, one in the area of academic proficiency and the other one for safe and healthy schools. For academic proficiency, we're looking for a 10% increase in the number of students scoring at grade level in the area of reading for grades 1 and 2. Next slide. When we went through the process called the root cause analysis and looking at our data to identify the areas that we need to focus on, mostly for our school, clearly we are a high poverty community. And what we know about students that come from high poverty homes is that often many of them, they start their school experience with pretty substantial language skill deficits. And as you can see before, just as one example, that research shows that children from high poverty homes are exposed to about 13 million words by age 4, whereas children from professional households are exposed to 45 million words by age 4. And what we know overall is that there's a direct correlation between success with reading and overall success with life. Next slide. So what does this mean in the action steps that we will put in place? We will continue to develop mini goals where we will do the plan, do, study, act, which we develop the goal, we put it into action, we evaluate it and adjust it as needed. Sorry, that's okay. Trigger finger over there. And we want to build a comprehensive local assessment plan for literacy that's more specific for our school. We want to continue with our professional development in the science of reading. Last year, we had 10 professional staff, myself included, that engaged in a 3-credit course that was offered through Castleton that was developed by MindPlay that was specifically on the science of reading. And we were all engaged in that work and meeting at least monthly to be able to help utilize the new learning that we had when things kind of fell apart. So our goal, we've all completed that course at this point. So we want to be able to put together a literacy committee for this school year so we can take our new learning, continue our learning, and develop some very specific building-based goals. The second area is our safe and healthy schools. And we're looking at 10% reduction of discipline referrals, as well as significant incidents reportable to the state. Those significant incidents, for example, would be related to bullying, harassment, or any behavior that resulted in a suspension. And what does this mean? We want to engage in professional development to increase our knowledge on best practices for supporting students from economically disadvantaged homes. We were all tasked with really focusing on marginalized groups, and what we want to really focus on is our high poverty homes and what we can do to best support them. When our building-based leadership team did our own research as a starting point last year, what we've identified is that utilizing brain-based practices is a best practice for kids that come from high poverty homes or have chronic trauma backgrounds. And we also have high hopes to engage in a school-wide book read of Teaching with Poverty in Mind by Eric Jensen. We will do that if the timing is right, but it's a really good read, and it's going to be important information for us to be able to digest together. So I want to make certain that the timing is right and that we're ready to absorb that in a way that will really benefit from it. And then also, as part of our overarching goal that is connected to our continuous improvement plan, we do have a full-time social emotional interventionist that helps support our overall needs at the school and helps to support to implement our behavioral and social emotional goals.